People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in, and the work rate's mad, innit? You can't get rid of me, people. I mean, you lot know I love speaking to you guys. So, just get that out of the way. It's distracting me. Moving on. People, for me, I don't want to keep talking about the transfer window in relation to Arsenal and whatnot, because it's been there, it's gone. We've done I think we've brought in some good additions, and in terms of outgoings, it's definitely been the best summer of recent summers, people. And from Huss Farme to Raul Sanye, to Edu and everybody else, Vinay, if I've missed their names out, apologies. Everybody that's been involved in this coordinated movement of trying to get us back to, first and foremost, Champions League football, I commend them. People, I think in life you need to, when you give with one hand, you got to take with the other. When it was evident that Arsenal allegedly wasn't doing things that they needed to do, we were all vocal. So we've got to praise it. Whether the work that's done in the summer and transfer windows beyond is enough to get us back, we'll speak about it. But in terms of putting in the work, they deserve it, man. In recent years, it wasn't there. This year, they've backed their chat and backed their words, quite simply, and we've been over it, people. Obviously, many departures, and allegedly I don't even remember the last figure I saw. Let me check, people. We saved a lot of money based on the outgoings and shaving people off the wages, people. I saw it on one of these Arsenal Twitter accounts. You know, once I've said this there, I've got to find it, people. I think it was on AFC stuff. Big him up, man, or whoever it is, he or she, whoever's running this account. Here it is, Arsenal. Here it is, my Arsenal fans. Arsenal have now saved 45 million on their annual wage bill, which is decent, people. We've done our thing in that regards, man. I mean, what can you say, people? That's a good significant piece of people that ain't good enough, or Emery deems that they weren't good enough, or have shown they're not good enough to move forward. Like I said, there's been young players that have left, there's been experienced players, there's been a variety of players, but one which I wouldn't say he was going to leave this summer, but Mesut Ozil, I wouldn't say it was going to leave this summer, but when I say his name, it's either made you smile or made you infuriated with rage. Few players polarise football more than Mesut Ozil, and specific to Arsenal, few players polarise the fan base. You lot know my stance, people. I don't believe in taking a stance. I believe in critiquing and praising. I can only speak for myself when I speak about Mesut Ozil. And first and foremost, I think he's a terrific player on his day. Again, everybody's good on their day, but on his day, I think he's a great player. I think Mesut Ozil and his quality has never been in question. I do think last season I saw some stats about declining playmaking stats. You know, all them fancy stats Ozil fanboys go and find people with, the amount of times he touches his left foot and the final ball and all of them fancy little stats. It looked like he was decreasing in that. But when it comes to eye of the needle pass, movement and all of these things, Mesut Ozil is a terrific player and has been a terrific player, people. I think if you like football away from your opinions, you like Mesut Ozil. I believe when he came to this club, because of the context of what we was doing, Santi came one summer, Ozil came the other, Alexis came the other, and we were told we were moving forward as a club. Obviously, we know the DM and the centre-half and the regime wasn't quite what it is now. So I do think Ozil was set up to fail, similar to Pogba at United, in that, don't get it twisted, we're going to get onto the other bit, but these players do need to pull it out. But on the other hand, they can't be expected to do it by themselves. Again, there's another debate to be had of when they've just simply not showed up, which Ozil on more occasions simply just not turned up. I do think Ozil at times has turned up and been scapegoated, again, because people have already drawn their battle lines and whatnot with him. But equally, there's been times he's just been anonymous. And I'm a fair man, I love the player, but he hasn't cut it. And if you're talking about moving forward, he's a quality player at what he does. But if I'm Emery, I'm not going to lie, Ozil can be used in my squad for the next year or two if we're not going to move him on and whatnot. But I'm not going to sit here and lie, people. Away from his quality, I'm not looking at Ozil to make the difference on what. I think it's time to move past him. I think we've got Ceballos on loan. There's a debate to be had if Ceballos gets injured, what happens, to which Mesut Ozil can be involved. And it won't just be Ceballos and Ozil not playing. Ozil will get a look in. You look at Mkhitaryan going, you look at Iwobi going. Iwobi can play in that 10 role, predominantly on the left at Arsenal. You've got to look at the creative players which have left the team, people. And in terms of creativity, at a push, Joe Willock's obviously played in that 10 position. Emil Smith-Rowe's been injured and is predominantly in the 23s, but he can play there. Nelson will be a right or left winger in the future, but he can play in the 10 role. Emery's yet to trial that. Equally, you've seen Emery just tear up that, when I say 10 role, that creative midfielder role, that sort of 10 position, and just gone with a flat midfielder. Or if you don't necessarily believe it was a flat midfield, he's gone with Xhaka, Torreira and Guendouzi like on the weekend. So he's somewhat eliminated that, to which you can say Ozil just simply doesn't fit in the team at the moment unless you're going with an out-and-out 10. There's a debate to be had in that he's 31. You look at David Silva, previously played on the flanks and further forward, easily do a job in a pivot in a midfield or as a free in midfield, to be fair with you. Ozil, can he make himself that as he gets older? Who knows? I think we're at the point now we're just going to have to keep Ozil until 2021. No one's going to buy him. He's comfortable here. Emery and him look to have buried the hatchet. He quickly quashed points in regards to selling him. So it is what it is. I've previously said in my podcasts and videos, if Dani Ceballos isn't going to sign permanently here, I believe we need a box-to-box midfielder, but I'm looking at that creative attacking midfielder sort of role, someone that can get us some goals and assists and just have that pass in them, people. Do you get what I'm getting at? We need to look at signing one of them as well as allegedly bringing in Upamecano. If that's true, we need to get that one over the line, people. But I think Ozil's been a great player. The problem is football has passed him. We know Ozil was a poetry in motion guy and whatnot, but it's about the game's left him now for people. We need to go out and find someone like Bernardo Silva or something, someone that can do the poetry in motion, but they're all action. And Ozil at times has done that. People talk about his work rate, but they won't talk about the FA Cup final when he's chasing down Hazard and whatnot. Ozil does put in work. The problem is, like every footballer, there's times he simply just hasn't done it. He's simply not been consistent and whatnot. There's times he has. I don't believe in relying on Ozil now because I think we've passed that experiment now. We're here when whatever year he signs people. Ironically, I think today is the anniversary of signing from Madrid. But whatever time he signs people, we've passed that cycle now. He can be used in the squad. If he's not going to be sold and he's not going to go on loan like Mkhitaryan where they're going to pay his wages, we have to use him in the squad. Potentially, maybe Emery recognises that. Potentially, was Ozil ever offered to other clubs? Because we've previously tried it, but you hear Mkhitaryan over a month or two ago, based on reports coming out, was offered via middlemen that potentially Arsenal employed to French clubs. Was that done for Ozil? I haven't seen these same reports. So have him and Emery buried the hatchet? Because you did hear reports when Ozil weren't in the team at times last season. It kind of disgruntled members of the side, people. What I don't want to see is Mesut Ozil shoehorned on the flanks, because as much as I love Emery, there was times that I saw Mkhitaryan and Ozil, both on the flanks, and there's obviously Mkhitaryan's probably played more in the wide role than Ozil, but I have them down as creative players. Their strengths are not running in behind and taking a winger run and things like that. They're all about coming deep, getting onto the ball and provoking them sort of situations for others. And you know Arsenal, there was a time we literally had like 11 playmakers, people. Remember them days Wenger would put like a Ramsey or Wilshere or Santi out on the flanks and there would just be bare playmaking guys in the team. The time's lost that, people. We've gone past that, people. Obviously, Mesut Ozil hasn't featured this season in the Premier League. He's been on the bench, not because of not wanting to be here and stuff. We need to remember the whole Kolasinac and Mesut Ozil off the field incidences, in which it probably took a while to recover mentally from that, and I think Arsenal did a good job in handling that, in my opinion, people. So we need everybody on board. So I think Emery and Ozil have buried the hatchet. Ozil had a decent pre-season, but dyeing his hair blonde, but Ozil always has a good pre-season. Personally, I want him to play well, and if I was Emery, he'd be in my squad and I'd utilise his skill set, purely because if you look at your squad, people, you need to look at who can win a ball back for me, Torreira and who? What defenders can do this job for me? What players can I bring off the bench to do this sort of job? Okay, who's my creative men in this side? Whether I'm going to play them in 5 games, 1 game, or every game for the Premier League in 38 games. Who gives me that? I'm looking at it now, people, and it's Mesut Ozil and Ceballos, people. Unless he's going to go with a flat midfield 3, which I keep saying, or unless Joe Willock is going to do that, or Emil's going to do that, or some sort of other potential sort of thing like that, people. Ozil will get game time this season. Players go through losses of form. We've got a lot of football to be played, people, and everybody's going to have to pull their part. Like I said, if I was Emery, Ceballos would be my first choice if I'm going to go with a 10. I'm trying to go with something like that. But I would use Ozil. I would rotate him. I wouldn't hesitate playing him in big games and whatnot. He's 31 next month. He'll be 32 by the time... Well, he'll be turning 32, I believe, when he calls it a day. If I'm lying, he'll be 32 when he's leaving this club. Forgive me if I'm wrong, people. He'll be 32 when he's leaving this club, and you'd probably go MLS or whatever, but we might as well use him. We're not going to make no bread back from him. In fact, saying that, Don Raul might have a madness signed up, because it is what it is. I mean, Mustafi survived, so I guess Raul's proven he's human for as much madness as he's done. But yeah, man, like Emery said, he wasn't 100% fit for the Liverpool game and whatnot. But hopefully he can play. Hopefully he can play his part, people. What more can I say? Hopefully that he can play his part, because Ozil does polarize opinion. Last season for him just simply wasn't good enough, and that's why I'm saying we can't really. Right now he's not. He's in my plans. He's in the squad. I will use him and rotate him, but I'm going with a flat midfield or Ceballos until something else happens, because last season 24 appearances, 5 goals, 2 assists. As much as I like Ozil, that's just not good enough. That's no disrespect to Iwobi. That's Iwobi stats. That's not good enough, innit, people? Again, it's not always about stats. If Ozil was playing well and influencing the game and there was the impetus, of course, people, there's the eye test. But it just simply hasn't been there with Ozil. And as much as I love him, we've been here for many years now. And we can't be saying the same thing, still talking about the same guys. We've got to try something a bit different. I think Ozil's been a good player for Arsenal. Many people look at it and say, sadly, it's a failure. And I can't tell people anything. But he's won 3 FA Cups here. He's had some good games. People forget about the first FA Cup run. In the last few years, he's actually had some good games, people. And I can't sit here and name them, but what's the point? Because you've already made your opinions up in Ozil. Every player, I'm past the stage of Ozil. Like I said, I'm relying on certain guys. I think the chapter is a new. We've started well with rebuilding the squad. And because of his age and whatnot, can play a role in the squad, but it's time to do these other things potentially, people. Because I'm not gonna lie, if Ceballos gets injured, Mesut Ozil or him and Ozil rotating potentially with the front three, if Emery finds a way of finding balance with Aubameyang, Lacazette, and obviously Pepe, that's some eye-watering sort of things, people. And every player in this squad, because it's even been trimmed more, is going to have a part to play, people. Young Joe Willock, he sadly got dropped for the Spurs game. He's going to have a part to play this season. Every defender, even if you like Chambers, which you're just a rotation or third choice at the moment, there's going to be opportunities, people. Maitland-Niles will probably have a period where he's not playing as much when Bellerin comes back. His time will come. We're going to need every player in the squad now. We've chopped it to a good standard. I think we're going to need everybody, people, apart from Mustafi again. But we're going to have to, there might even be a stage we might have to even play Mustafi, people. We don't know what's going to happen in this season and whatnot. And for all his critics, Ozil's got some decent stats, people. 168 appearances, 32 goals, 56 assists, in all appearances for Arsenal in all his time here. So he's had a hand in 88 goals, which is I swear that's just over half. My maths is poor, and obviously I did this at lunch, so I hope it's right. But that's decent, people, really and truly. It is what it is, man. I mean, he wasn't sold in the window. Whether we tried to move him on, whether he just conceded he's here until something else happens, is a different matter, people. But I thought I'd speak about it. I think it is what it is. He's a rotation option, him or Ceballos, or potentially there'll be games where you can bring them both on, or both could start. Potentially also even none could start, really and truly, people. Like you saw against Spurs, none started. He went with a flat midfield 3. Saw what Emery wants to do. And to be honest, I don't like to take sides on players, because I do believe different options. There'll be games we need to start more creative players. Games we need to be more in the more in the trenches. Games for our front 3, games where 1 or 2 of the front 3, you know what I mean, in Pepe, Aubameyang and Lacazette, have to drop out, people. There's different things we might have to do this season. Nothing is set in stone. Of course, I want to see the best team play week in, week out. Of course, I don't want to see our team continuously change according to the opposition. But there's many twists and turns this season, people. And the more unpredictable we can be, the better chance Arsenal have of getting top 4. On top of the obvious needing to improve defensively and many different micro issues with our on-field problems, specifically individual mistakes, and staying focused, because the finer margins are what makes the difference in football. So on that note, there isn't much more to say, people. In fact, there isn't much more to say, people. I mean, Paul Merson questioned why Arsenal didn't sign Fabian Delph, but I'm not going to give that the time of day, people. It is what it is. You lot can draw your own conclusions on people saying things like that. No disrespect to Fabian Delph. On that note, people, thank you for watching and rocking. Check out my podcast, link is in the description. Make sure you comment, make sure you follow my socials, link in the description. Comment, subscribe and do the rest. And more than that, just stay safe and make sure you return again, man. Or check out my other content for you DG junkies. DG Nation, I'm out, man. It's been a pleasure.